ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and whatever else is watching. My name is Nick, and it's been a while, actually a couple of years since I've done a video like this. I think the last one had to do with, well, the upcoming of Stadia back then, and oh, that didn't end well with that platform. But today I just wanted to talk about something again. I just had to get this off my chest. The Nintendo Switch 2 has been shown, and I wanted to talk about many facets. One of them was the Direct itself. And to be honest, I didn't know for certain how to tackle this. But I thought, okay, let's just go over the Direct, and I give my responses to what I see on screen. What I see with the trailers and the videos and all that kind of stuff. And talk about my thoughts in that. I will also, occasionally add some additional information that came after. I will talk about that. However, the biggest things like the price of the Nintendo Direct or of the Nintendo Switch and its games, that is something I will not be talking about. And yeah, that's something that I was thinking, okay, well, maybe this is not that I wanted to put in a different video. Mainly because a number of these things are really polarizing and require a little bit more nuanced thoughts than just me blipping them out while the Direct is playing. And I do want to focus more on what my thoughts are on that. So that's why I won't delve into this in this video. Afterwards, probably another video will come out where I will talk about all that stuff, and then you can lynch me and cancel me by that time. Okay, so let's delve into the Nintendo Direct about the Nintendo Switch 2.
Peggy 18.
Oh yeah. I have to clarify something. I am watching the recorded stream from Nintendo of UK. So hopefully that one doesn't have the mess ups that Nintendo of America had. Although when I personally originally watch it, I watched the Nintendo of the Netherlands stream, and that one was flawless. No hiccups, no audio failures or anything from this. And yeah. Okay. This is Mario Kart World. And just this initial trailer has me completely hyped for this game. I think this game really looks awesome. I don't care if it's not the best graphics, or actually it still looks really good. It might not be PlayStation 5 graphics, but really, I really like this. Also the amount of characters that it seems here, and what it is, what it showed me, I really think it's really cool. They let go of the anti-gravity from Mario Kart 8. They also dropped the underwater. Well, this is the part that has me completely excited. This parkour, as it is, this grinding over rails and wall jumping and all that kind of stuff. That also allows you to make boosts. And what was up with that truck where you went in the back and it would drive you? I don't know. But yeah, this game looks like really a lot of fun. And I have to say, just this picture here, this massive overworld, so cool. Oh, this trio. I really like that they showed these guys. We don't know anything about them. Although they are pretty much involved with the Nintendo Switch 2 and the development of it. But yeah, and especially this left guy. Kudos for putting him in there, especially because he has a jacket that doesn't fit him. It's way too big! And that just shows he is actually just a geek and not one of those manager types. And they just had to last minute get him a jacket. And that was, I thought that was really cool.
Depending on the time of day and weather conditions,
yeah,
the atmosphere will change.
King Boo with a that outfit. But yeah, I really like it. The weather conditions, if that really has an impact on the game. And this open world setting looks really cool. And I also saw something in that with these Grand Prix, that something that was in the Treehouse Live back was shown a little bit better off than in this Direct, was that the Grand Prix aren't just about running laps over various courses. You also have races in between those parts, and you actually have to go there. And that's so awesome, because reaching the next course to lap is also this knockout, this kind of battle royale style of for races or something. You have to go through checkpoints and you can get eliminated if you get too far behind. I really love it. The free roam part, I don't know what I need to think about that one. Although it's a little bit sad that you don't get to see anything underwater. However, the boat sections, the airplane sections, or the glider sections, I have to say, do look really cool. And that anti-gravity and that underwater the underwater racing have been eliminated. Well, I don't know, but what this thing is, it really looks like a very big game. And this game, well, it will be the game that I really have to say, his sleeves are way too long. His shoulders are way too thin for this jacket. This guy's shoulders are also way too thin, but he has at least the sleeves that fit. But yeah. Oh yeah. The C button. I really like the design of these new Joy-Cons. If they are really bigger, that's definitely a benefit. However, the C button, the game chat. Oh yeah, logo. This game chat, I think, yeah, this is something.
I'm still ahead of all of you guys.
The Nintendo Switch and the Wii U are actually in the Wii U they already had a chat function in there. However, you could not use that chat function during gameplay as it is. But to be honest, I think for me this is not something I was actually asking for. I don't have the friends to play together, or I don't. And of course, this is behind Nintendo Switch Online. So yeah, it's behind the paywall. The microphone is something I'm a little bit iffy about. It does feel like, hey, the Switch is always listening to me, and I don't know how well the noise cancelling is actually going to help, especially because if you are sitting on a certain distance. So yeah, for me this is something I don't really care about, but there were a lot of people that asked for it, and now they are complaining that Nintendo makes a big deal out of it, while they were just saying, why doesn't the Switch have this? And I can tell you that if Nintendo didn't say this, didn't put this in the Direct, they would complain about why didn't Nintendo talk about it? Is this feature even in there? Why is it? They just wanted to be clear about what this game chat function does. And yeah, it's also really interesting that they show off Nintendo Switch Online games and Nintendo Switch 1 games and Mario Kart World and no other games. Maybe they should have put this a little bit later in the Direct or something. But then again, get it over with.
I'll be right back, yeah?
To be honest, all this stuff can also be done with Discord and all other kinds of stuff. Oh yeah, the camera.
You can also connect the camera to the console.
As I'm not using the game chat, I probably won't be using the camera either. Unless it gets really well used in the, how do I say it?
And video chat while playing a game.
Except, yeah, how do I say it?
Here's how it looks with just the camera feed.
Yeah. Does this right girl have used the Switch in handheld mode and the camera is not connected? That is something I'm just noticing right now.
Even when you're apart, you can play
Well,
games and hang out
it's
as if you were together in the same room.
well, the camera is not for me.
Play together.
The interesting thing is that Hori actually has a different camera coming.
ゲームチャットをご利用いただくには Nintendo Switch Online への加入が必要になります。
That's totally too expected that you
少し
had
でも多くの
to.
方に体験してもらいたい。
I wouldn't
という
have
ことから
thought
無
anything
料でご利
less.
用いただすぐに一緒に遊べる。お裾
Oh,
分け
this thing,
できるように
game
なり
share.
ます
Actually,
お
this
裾
is
分け
just
通信は
download play.
Switch 2はもちろん Switch
This
で
is
も遊ぶこと
download
ができ
play
る
from
最大の問題
the
で
DS
プレイできま
time.
す
We had some
相手に
games
自分の
so
画面
would
を見られ
support
た
it.
くないゲームでも
This.
一本
And
の
again,
外で一緒に
also
遊べます
with the Switch 2, it depends on the whether the game supports it.
先ほどご
You
紹介
cannot
し
do
た
this with
ゲームチャット
every
の
game.
相手ともすぐにお裾分け通信が
But
できま
yeah,
す
game sharing, it's just download play again.
対応ソフトのみになりますが
Which is a
世界の
welcome
遊び大
addition.
全51をはじめいくつか予
Because
定
you
しており
don't actually
これをアッ
have
プデート
to.
でお裾分け通信ができるように
The
なります
thing is this just a separate feature? That's I'm not too sure. Or if you are or a separate mode, or that it's gonna be a the entire game that you would be sharing. Because download play was kind of a separate mode in games. Oh yeah.
The screen supports up to 120 frames per second, allowing for smoother gameplay in supported titles.
That the screen can render in 120 frames per second
The LCD
doesn't mean the
screen is
games
more
will render
vivid and
in
supports
120
HDR, providing more
frames per
contrast
second.
between light and dark
Because
areas of
if
the
it is a
image.
heavy game that requires a lot of computational power,
The all-new Joy-Con
I can tell you the
controller
resolution and the frame rate will drop.
Strong magnets keep
a
the
lot.
controllers firmly attached to the console. Detach your controller easily by pressing the release button on the back.
I think this release is a lot better than the Switch 1 had. Even though I'm
SL
not that
and
big
SR
on the
buttons are
magnet
bigger
part,
for greater comfort and
but
control
just
when
the
playing with
sliding,
Joy-Con
I've
2
known
horizontally.
that people were trying to force it and trying
The left and right
to,
sticks are now larger.
well, kinda try to force
Each Joy-Con 2
something that
controller
they
can
shouldn't be
be
doing
used as a
and
mouse
breaking
to
stuff.
play in compatible
And
games.
that small little
Both the
button
left
that
and
would
right
release
Joy-Con
it,
2 support mouse controls.
that kept things locked in? Yeah, I don't know.
By adjusting
The
the
mouse-
audio balance between the ranges, sounds
The
from
mouse
built-in
feature is
speakers
something I
are
really
clearer
like.
and more natural in handheld and tabletop modes.
Yeah, the built-in mic, I don't like that.
Microphone,
Yeah,
so you
no,
can
no,
voice
no.
chat
I don't
with
like the
friends
built-in mic.
anytime via game chat. It also uses noise canceling technology to filter sounds, so your voice will come through clearly.
I am
Even
doubting
if you don't
how
have a
well this
surround
will
sound
sound.
system, games can be enjoyed with more immersive, three-dimensional sound.
Well, at least the
that will be
voice,
coming
the
from
noise
all
cancelling
around.
for your voice in the microphone. Again, this needs to be programmed by with each game. It isn't
Place your
automatically
Nintendo Switch 2
based
however you
on.
like, with a large, sturdy stand.
This is such an
You can move
improvement.
freely,
Well,
like
the
this.
OLED model had it, but that they didn't make the stand like this.
In addition
And
to
for the
USB
first Switch
port
was
found on
baffling.
the bottom of the console, there's one on top as well.
And that's
It's
actually
handy
a
for
cool
connecting
thing.
a USB-C camera.
The camera I don't think is the coolest
Or
thing, but
charging in
the
tabletop mode.
charging in tabletop mode is definitely welcome. That you can put that from the top, because
Nintendo Switch 2
originally
comes
when
with
you had tabletop mode, you had
256
this
gigabytes of
hoary
internal storage,
stand.
8 times that of Nintendo Switch. For storing your
If
game
the
downloads,
games are big enough,
save data,
which
and
I
more.
thought they weren't that
Reading and writing
big,
data is also faster.
they still were
Use the
reasonable,
Nintendo
so
Switch
I
to
don't
dock
think
to
it
connect to
will.
your TV and enable up to 4K resolution for compatible games. HDR is also supported in TV mode.
Well, again, 4K is for supported games,
The
as it
Nintendo
is
Switch
said
2
there.
dock has a built-in fan that
And
keeps your
yeah, I
console
think
cool.
this fan is
This
going to
helps
be
keep
crucial,
performance stable.
because I think this the Switch 2 is gonna draw a lot of power,
Nintendo Switch
a lot of
2,
power,
You can play Nintendo
and
Switch
a
2
lot
games, as
of,
well as
and
compatible
just
Nintendo
generating
Switch
a
games.
whole lot of heat. And if the dock is just passive, that is nowhere near enough. So yeah, the cooling is required. And this dog bone controller, it's okay. It's the dog bone controller.
はーい。私がいるここはまさにそのゲームのフィールドなんですが、そのタイトル
Oh,
は
this game, yeah.
Nintendo Switch 2の秘密展というスイッチ2の専用ゲームです。
I think
私は
this
ここにい
game
たんですね。
can be very
で
interesting.
は皆さんをこのゲームにお招きしましょう。
However, it is a game that is
縦長いっぱい並んで
very
います。ちょ
focused
っと覗いてみましょう。
on the Nintendo Switch
磁石は
hardware
どこ
and
に
its
という話題ですが、
capabilities.
本体とジョイコン2は磁
It's
石によ
something
って
to
くっつく
show
んですよ
off
ね。
the system.
で、その磁石、
And in
実は
that
本体にだけ
sense,
入って
I
いま
heard
す。
what I heard was that you
ここ
can buy
Joy-Con
this
2は SL、SR
from the
ボタンの素材が
eShop
鉄でできていて、
separately, and you actually have to buy this.
さらに
I am
この
not
二つの
against
間に
that
強い磁気回路ができるの
entirely
で
against that you
本
have
体
to
と
buy
Joy-Con
it.
2は簡単には取れません。
However, I would have then preferred,
こんな
okay,
感じで
make the
いろんな秘密
system
を
a
知ってい
few
ただくことができるんで
bucks
す。
more expensive
他に
and
も Joy-Con 2には
add
マウス機
this
能が
with
あり
the
ますが、
system
ジャイロセンサーと組み合わ
because
せることで
this is
こんなこ
something
とがで
that
きちゃいます。
has to be. Yeah, I know. I said,
ゴルフク
okay,
ラブの
make the
向きを
system a little bit more
Joy-Con
expensive,
2 に
and
調整して
some people
カップを
are
目指します。
actually
マウス機能とジャイロセン
think
サ
the
ーの組
system
み合わ
is
せで
way
でき
too
るそう
expensive
です。
already, and actually paying
秘密展で
for
は
this game,
ミニゲームや
they
ゲームを
also
楽しみながら
seem
体
as
感することも
offensive.
できるんです。
However, there are developers that have
秘密
been
の種類は
developing
スイッチ
this,
ならではの特徴から
and
言われないと気づか
I
ない
would
よ
just say,
うな細かな
if
技
you
術までたくさんあります。
had made this in a single unit, if this was a packing game, and you would have made it expensive, and we would not have known about the price that it is now, then I don't think people would have been, yeah. Yeah, this is gonna confuse me. Okay, the red cards are Switch 2 cards, but
続いてメモリーカードですが、スイッチ2に対応するのはマイクロ SD エクスプレスカードになります。
get a micro SD card when you actually need it. Especially because these express cards are not that ready available yet, and they are so much more expensive. By the time you actually need it, the price may have dropped. So yeah, this is something I won't be using. The system transfer, I will keep everything on my Switch 1. Especially, I am wondering about the quality of the Pro Controller. I really hated the D-pad. These macro, GL and GR, I think are really cool. I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles X at the moment. I would probably assign left, right to those macros. But yeah, with the Pro Controller, I'm thinking, how well is that D-pad? Because it was crap in the Switch 1 Pro Controller.
Nintendo Switch 2の発売日をお伝えします。Nintendo Switch 2の発売日は6月5日です。
This surprised me a lot.
皆さんで遊んでもらえる日が
That it was June 5th. It surprised me a lot. Although I would have guessed June, but I was more guessing the end of June instead of the beginning of June. However, now I know when I have to plan my vacation.
まずは Nintendo Switch 2の専用ソフトです。Switch 2の性能や特徴を生かしたゲームをプレイいただけます。2つ目は Nintendo Switch で発売したソフトです。3つ目は
You have Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Yeah, around the Switch 2 edition games, there is some confusion yet. However, I would advise just wait before you're gonna
こちらをご覧ください。
be angry about it or anything, because yeah, it's still a little bit confusing, especially about what you get on the physical versions. For the rest, that you have to do pay for upgrade packs, I think is pretty normal, because actually also depending on the price, on whether it's really valuable, it's of the right value. However, with Mario Party here, you have completely new game modes, completely new game controls, and completely new additional content. So if you would have to pay a lot more extra, yeah, that seems to me like it's normal. I would not ask developers to give this for free. I have seen people on, well, I've seen YouTubers comment that all these upgrades need to be free, and that's what I think is a really bad take. Even Sony did not do that. But with these Switch 2 editions, I still am wondering, okay, what is it gonna be? If you have the physical versions, are you getting the real complete game on there? Or are you just better off actually, if the Switch 2 cartridge contains the Switch 1 game, and then you have to still download an upgrade patch. So that's the thing that I'm still wondering about. But again, like I said, don't worry too much about it at this moment. Wait for the games to launch first. Before you don't have to play these games right from the from the day they launch, because frankly, those games have already launched. Those games are already available. It's just the new content that you're gonna be, and just think about it more when.
ゼルダの伝説ブレスオブザワイルドとティアーズオブザキングダムのそれぞれの任天堂スイッチ2エディションでは
With Zelda, I don't think the additional content is just having better graphics is worth the price. Even not that app part in there. But then again, I am a collector and a fan of Zelda, so I might be hypocritical and just buy the physical Switch 2 editions. Anyway, but it doesn't actually excite me. This doesn't excite me that much now. Oh man, Kirby here, I think the game either doubled in size with content, or because yeah, this is what I think is really worth paying for. This is something I'm really excited about. I don't know what I saw on the Treehouse live stream. Looked like the Kirby game actually had redesigned levels. All levels have been reimagined or something with this Star Quest world part. But yeah, I think that is something I'm really excited for. Here, Metroid Prime 4 is probably one of the better games to show off mouse function. Oh, this is just funny that everyone was saying the improvement patch for these Pokemon games, or for latest Pokemon games, was the Switch 2, and yeah, they are pretty much right. And Switch 2 editions are cool, some are cool. I don't know if every single one is. I think this is a good good move from Nintendo, because they could have just as well sold them for full price again. Those Switch 2 editions, and yeah, that's the thing that I think is, yeah. Oh, this game that has to show off mouse controls with 2 Joy-Cons. I do think this is an interesting game. I don't know if this is the full game, like this Paralympics basketball. I do think it's really cool, but I do hope there is a little bit more to it. Internet correction, oh yeah, doing online play. But yeah, it's just, hopefully there's a little bit more to it. But I think there are a couple of other games that show off mouse functions a little bit better. Metroid Prime 4 was one of them, because first person shooter, it's somewhat like PC shooters. But also games like Civilization, as we will see later on. And this is also something really idiotic that I think of EA. EA was in Electronic Arts was in this direct, but only with, well, Football Club 2025 and Madden. And EA owns Westwood Studios. They own games like Command and Conquer. Just a remaster of those games. Show off why the mouse functionality is worth it. Those games would be so cool. EA, come on. Command and Conquer, just bring it.
This world is in dire need of repair.
Yeah, I have no interest in Elden Ring whatsoever. I'm just not... It's just the visual presentation of it all. It may look good, may look like real great graphics, but it doesn't look appealing to me. So yeah, I don't know. Elden Ring just isn't for me, I think. And that other...
Hey, I'm Greg Kasavin from Supergiant Games, here to say that Hades 2 is coming to Nintendo Switch 2. Our first ever sequel introduces the Princess of the Dead, an immortal witch out to vanquish the sinister
The
Titan
thing
of
I
time.
thought about these third-party partners,
the ends of the earth. Getting to know dozens of characters
these
from
third-party
Greek myth,
games
in a
that
story
they are
reacts
showing
to
here,
every segment.
many of these games,
It's the kind of
if
game
not
you can
most,
quickly pick up and play whether you're experienced
are
with the original
actually
or not.
games that have
But
been
for more about
released
Hades 2,
already.
later this year.
And to be honest, especially here, Street Fighter 6 has already been out for at least 2 years or so on the Xbox and PlayStation 5. And this is a double-edged sword for third parties. And also a double-edged sword for Nintendo. Because on one hand, you have games that have been designed already, whose gameplay has been worked out and it is working. It's known and it's stuck together. So all they have to concentrate on is how do we make this game working on the Switch 2. Not how does this game is gonna work, no, how is it going to work on the Switch 2. However, because these games have been released already, it is possible that Switch that people who buy a Switch may have played this either on the PC, on the Xbox, or PlayStation 5. Well, not everyone has two systems, but people may have played this already. And thus, it will make, it will lower.
Hey, this is Joseph Forrest from Hazeland.
Lower the
fiction to come to Nintendo Switch 2.
How do I say it? Will lower the sales of these games because games that people can have already bought, can have already played, are really relying on double dipping then. And this can kind of, well, disappoint publishers in sales.
We're bringing fans together.
Yeah, EA. Why aren't you bringing Command and Conquer?
We're excited to announce
seriously,
will be coming to Nintendo Switch 2.
If there is one game that could use a remaster, and
EA Sports, it's in the game.
They have all those Westwood titles.
Hi, I'm Alan Tu from Avalanche Software.
But yeah,
we're bringing
like I said,
to Nintendo Switch 2.
It's a double-edged sword.
With enhanced graphics
all
and
these
seamless
games that have
transitions,
already been
you'll
released.
be immersed in the Wizarding World like never before.
The story of light and shadow that never fades.
Oh man, I really loved playing Bravely Default when it was on a 3DS. So, seeing this here again, and yet I still have to play Bravely Default 2.
turn-based battle.
Man, there are way too many games on my backlog that still have to be done.
Enjoy your adventure with
Bravely Second, I kind of fell out of that. But Bravely Default was really awesome.
Square Enix presents the classic fantasy RPG, Bravely Default.
Maybe I should pick up Bravely Second again.
Set foot in Luxembourg as
and Bravely Default too.
Once more.
It's interesting that they use a different subtitle, Flying Fairy, instead of Where the Fairy Flies. Yeah, it's kind of important, but yeah, when I saw this logo, I already knew what kind of games it was. But then when this came up, yeah, it was Hyrule Warriors. This is something I was hyped for this. This game is something I'm going to get as soon as it is released. However, that being said, I will have no illusion about that this game is going to be canon. Age of Calamity burned me already. They told me Age of Calamity would tell the story of 100 years before. And then they added in time traveling shenanigans that it no longer did tell that story. It was a completely different story. And they said that was canon. Heck no, I am going to think of this is a story leading into Tears of the Kingdom. Still hyped for it though. But I'm not gonna be in the illusion that this is canon. And probably this has the story that the Tears in Tears of the Kingdom should have had. So yeah, this seems to me like, yeah, I'm really hyped. And I'm gonna wonder how they are going to add in Link and the Master Sword in this. Because Hyrule Warriors without Link coming this winter. Ah man, that could be 2026.
任天堂も開発に協力しています。かつてハイラル王国で起きた封印戦争。
I really want this game.
その知られざる真実を描いた本作にご期待ください。
Although they also hope that I also hope that they learn from it with
お知らせです。任天堂スイッチオンラインはスイッチ2でも引き続きご利用いただけます。
I don't have a Nintendo Switch Online. I never had it.
プラス追加パックに
However, that they are bringing the GameCube to the Nintendo Switch Online, that is actually really cool. Because there have been a lot of games on the GameCube that really could use
Switch Online Plus expansion
releases. Because there have been so many cool GameCube games. However, that being said, that also means that Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD are now forever stuck on the Wii U. Although these graphics look better than Wind Waker HD. Yeah, the Wind Waker HD had a little bit too much blooming effect. And that would no longer had the cartoon-like graphics, but more like the claymation. Oh, sorry. Claymation kind of graphics.
Soul Calibur 2. Experience a world of white knuckle racing.
Also another thing
is
a really good thing that they add in some games that are really expensive to get nowadays if you want to create a backlog of GameCube games, if you want to collect GameCube games.
In games that support multiplayer, up to 4 can play together locally.
That's just one thing.
Enjoy these classic games with clearer image quality and higher resolution than the original releases. You can also check the controls for each title and customize them to your liking.
Oh, that's a good thing. I also really liked
more titles will be added in the future.
Yeah, Fire Emblem, Pokemon, Chibi-Robo. Those are really expensive titles.
Nintendo Classics, the Switch 2
Man,
exclusive game library coming
that's
to
really
Nintendo
good
Switch
that they
Online plus
add those
expansion
stuff
pack,
in.
launches the same day as the hardware's release. And a dedicated controller designed after the original GameCube controller will also be released.
This one is cool, however they have a C button on it, but they also have a C stick on it. That isn't going to be confusing at all.
Nintendo Switch Online members.
Yeah, I want to turn right and left. Yeah, you have to use the C stick for that. What? The C stick? But it's a button. I want to chat. Yeah, you have to do the C chat. You have to press in the C button. What? But the stick doesn't support pressing in yellow stick. And that's just going to be so confusing.
それでは引き続きソフトメーカーさんのタイトルをご覧ください。
I actually have nothing to say about this, because I haven't played Undertale yet. And I have never played Deltarune. I know there was a free chapter 1 download that I could do at one point. I did download it on my Switch 1, but I just haven't played yet. I hear good things about these games, but yeah, I just haven't gotten around to it.
Hi, I'm Dennis Shirk from Firaxis Games. We're releasing a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Sid Meier's Civilization 7.
This game is probably one of the best examples of how to use the mouse controls. Real-time strategies and turn-based strategies games like these are excellent for mouse controls.
Mouse controls on Switch 2 by purchasing the upgrade.
Because if you had to use the right or left analog sticks for selecting things, or using
our final announcement for today is that
moving a mouse cursor around, that just isn't the speed or precision that you might want to like.
And on the court.
And yeah, so Civilization 7 is something I'm really looking forward to.
Off they went. My name is Adam Badowski from CD Projekt Red. We are delighted to bring the immersive world of the dark future to Nintendo.
I've heard that
for the first time.
they are going to release this on an actual 64GB cartridge. Like they released The Witcher on a 32GB cartridge back then for the first Switch. Well, Witcher 3, I have to say. So yeah, this is actually really good what CD Projekt Red does. They actually provide the entire game on cartridge. And that's... I can only applaud it, although that game is not something I'm interested in. I also have a little bit of a confession to make. I really like playing RPGs. But to my embarrassment, I have never really played a mainline Final Fantasy game. Well, no, I'm lying. I've played a little bit of 8, but fell out of that really fast. But with Final Fantasy, it's 7. The remake, I will wait until all remake games are released. Oh yeah, Silksong. Oh, is it really going to be in 2025? But yeah, with Final Fantasy 7 I will wait until all remake releases are actually made, so I have the full story and not end up with a cliffhanger or something. But that's how I feel. Puyo Puyo Tetris for the Nintendo Switch was really fun. This one also really looks like... oh yeah, no, Outlaws doesn't look like Star Wars Outlaws. Okay. Nobunaga's Ambition. That's also another strategy game, I think. Fast Fusion. I have heard that this one is going to be released at launch. And when the Switch 1 launched, they actually had its predecessor, Fast RMX, which is a really great game if you like F-Zero and something, because they can create, well, it lacks a little bit the charm of the drivers, but Fast RMX was a really good race game. However, with the Switch 2 at launch date, they will have to compete with Mario Kart, which Fast RMX didn't need to do with the Switch 1. Okay, Mario Kart came a month later, but yeah, I don't know if Fast Fusion is going to survive that, or going to have that many sales as Fast RMX is going to have. Again, the Dustblot is something it doesn't appeal to me. Originally I thought, hey, would this probably be a new 3D Castlevania, but no. That was too much of a hope. But this game, the rest doesn't really appeal. Oh yeah, this one. When I saw this store, I immediately thought about, hey, this is Kirby. That looks like a Kirby Warp Star. And well, that Kirby was in there. However, the slashes, that hitting, that kind of looked like it also could have been Smash Brothers. So I was wondering, what is this going to be? A new Kirby or a new Smash Brothers? Then this happened. It's freaking Kirby's Air Ride, or Air Riders, a sequel to it. Well, initially I was thinking, is this going to be a remake of the GameCube title, or is it going to be a sequel to it? Turns out it's a sequel, and I've heard that so many people went ballistic over it, so really hyped for it. But to be honest, there was one game mode in Kirby's Air Ride that was actually really fun, but the rest of it was kind of average. It was okay, but nothing to get really hyped about. So I really hope that they make this a little bit better. Donkey Kong. Yeah. Originally I thought, hey, this is Super Mario Bros. 2. I didn't notice the banana theming at this point. So yeah. But when these apes came, I thought, no, this is Donkey Kong. And I was actually right on both ends. Because this is a Donkey Kong game. However, it will utilize, as I've seen in the Treehouse Live, and which is also visible in here, in the trailer. It kind of uses the open zone, as Sega tries to say it, the open zone mechanics that Super Mario Odyssey also used. That is gonna be there, and this is what I'm amazed about, how destructive the environment actually is, and how well it is presented. in the destruction. And it doesn't actually heal after a while. So yeah, this game also really I'm really hyped about it. And am I bothered about how Donkey Kong looks? Especially how his eyes look? No, not really. Not really. I think he's still very expressive. And I think over time looks change a little bit, but it also gives each game its own identity. And I'm not bothered by these eyes, to be honest. I actually really like them.
of July. ドンキーコングの新しい 3D アクションゲーム、ドンキーコングバナンザです。唯一無二のパワーで敵も壁も
That's gonna be really tough, the camera underground. How that is programmed. And they don't ask that much. The premium price for this game. That's so weird. Well, it probably is worth it. Or probably has the content. Actually, maybe Donkey Kong isn't that big as Super Mario Bros. Odyssey. Super Mario Odyssey. At least in level-wise and content-wise. Because the game file size for that game was really small, what I saw. Especially considering that it may have higher definition graphics due to 4K support or something.
任天堂スイッチ2を
But
皆さんにご体験いただけることを今からとても楽しみにしています。
最後までご覧いただきありがとうございました。
Okay, so to round everything up, to give my final thoughts on the Direct. The Direct got me really hyped, but the lack of mentioning a price got me worried. However, I could think of two reasons why they wouldn't. One, they knew, well, the outrage that would come from it, as you are now seeing. However, secondly, they made one presentation for the entire world. And as we have seen with the Switch 1, each region of the world is priced separately. They give a price, when they presented the Switch 1, they gave a price of how much it would cost in Japan. And they gave a price of how much it would cost in the US. However, when it came to the EU, or to Europe in general, they actually just said, check your local game store for the price. Because they knew that whatever price is going to be, it would differ from whether I would live in the Netherlands, in Belgium, in Germany, in the UK, or anything else. And that was my first thought was they weren't speaking about the price because every region in the world had different prices. Also depending on the value of the yen or anything, and they didn't want to commit to it this instant to what would be a good price. Hindsight, that was a little bit different. Overall, I still thought the Direct was interesting. It showed a lot. It showed also really things that got me really hyped. Mario Kart World is something I really like. Just the Switch 2 edition of Kirby and the Forgotten Land was awesome. There were third-party games that I would really like to try out. And then at the end, Donkey Kong Bonanza really had me going as well. Hyrule Warriors, Bravely Default, to just name the few. Actually, with the mouse controls, I do want to check out Civilization. And I am still mad about EA not coming with Command & Conquer. And I can only say about this, rest in peace, Westwood Studios. You were loved during the 90s. And you are sorely missed right about now. Oh well. But that's it. Those, I thought, yeah, this was a decent direct. It showed off the games. The concept of the Switch is known. They did not have to do that again. They showed off the game chat that was really new. That I don't care about, to be honest. They showed off the mouse controls a little bit more in depth. And afterwards, what he did with the Treehouse Live, going in more in depth with a few games, mostly Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong. But yeah, this was a good week until some other information came out, which was also pretty much construed a little bit weird for each region of the world though, because some information was only for a particular region and not for others. And that gave an outrage and all that kind of stuff, but that's for another video. Until now, well, for now, I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Whatever that video may be. Bye!